Hey, in this video we are going to continue build the dashboard component, and we will associate user account with multiple sign-in providers or multiple sign-in methods. So for example, if I connect or if I log in with Facebook and then if I log out and log in with Google, I end up on the same account. I will not have two different separate accounts. Alright, so let's do this. First, let's navigate back to our code, and here under dashboard, let's create new file, which we will name provider block. For now, let it be an empty component, and let's add it to our dashboard inside index.js, right after hey profile name, provider block. Perfect. Now, to continue, we need to know how we can actually access our current user data or user object data, to be more specific. So instead of using our use profile hook to get the data, we can actually use auth object, and then we can access current user. So let's console log it and see what do we receive. So if I now go to dashboard, if I look inside console, now I have the user object of currently signed in user. So it is managed by Firebase. Here we can find different access tokens, refresh tokens, display name, email, and other data. But we are interested right now in provider data that we have over here. So it is basically an array of providers or array of sign-in methods that we are using right now. So as you can see right now, we have only one element, which is google.com. So we will use that information to display that we are currently connected or not to this specific provider. And the thing is that if you remember, we put real-time listeners for our profile data. So whenever we update something, it updates in all places. With the providers, it doesn't work in real time. So we need to manage it using React state. So, alright, let's get back to provider block. And here we are going to define a new state, which we will name is connected. And it is not going to be a Boolean value. It is going to be an object that will indicate whether we are connected to Facebook or Google. So we will have an object with two keys, google.com and facebook.com, which is provider ID, can be founded inside this array. So as you can see, for Google, it is google.com. Alright, so for google.com, we're going to check if we are connected. So we're going to access auth current user dot provider data. So it is an array, and on array we can apply sum to check if some element is actually justifies the condition. So we're gonna have here our data, and we're gonna check if some of our array elements has provider ID of google.com. If data provider ID equals google.com. And the same we will do for Facebook. So let's copy it and let's replace google.com with facebook.com. Alright, good. In this way, now we will have a variable is connected that will indicate whether we are connected to Google or Facebook. Now let's actually define our markup. So inside this div, we are going to put our buttons or tags that will indicate it. And here we will have a lot of conditional rendering, but for now let's just define static markup. So first is going to be tag element. So this tag element will be closable, and it will have color green because it is going to be for Google. Inside we will have icon, and this icon will have icon of Google, and it will say connected. Alright, and also now we have this warning. Let's put it here at the top. The same we will apply for Facebook. So let's copy it and let's replace color with blue and icon with Facebook. Alright, seems good. Now let's check it out. If we go to dashboard, now we are connected. So this will be displayed when we are actually connected to our providers. Alright, then we're gonna define other things, which will be our buttons to actually connect to this or that provider. So let's put a little bit of margin to this block. and then we're gonna define our buttons. So first button is going to be for Google, so it is going to be a block element. It will have color green, and inside again we will see an icon, and icon will be, let's say, also Google, and we will name it link to Google. The same will be for Facebook. Let's copy it and let's replace color with blue, link to Facebook, and icon is going to be Facebook. Alright, let's check it out. Alright, looks good. So we will have these two bottom buttons to actually connect to provider, and these two at the top we will have when we are connected. Alright, so let's first put our conditional rendering for the case when we are already connected. So for these tags we're gonna put if is connected, then because it is an object we can access its properties. So if I am connected to google.com, only then I'm gonna render this tag element. And the same actually we will do for Facebook. So now we will have it displayed only when we are connected. Alright, looks good. And for these buttons we will apply the next. So if we are not connected to google.com, then we're gonna display this button, and the same will do for Facebook. So if we are not connected to Facebook, then we will display this type of button. Alright, let's check it out. If I open my dashboard, I'm connected to Google and I'm not connected to Facebook. Alright, so now the thing is actually to do some functionality to apply everything with a state. Alright, so first we need to define our handlers. So we will have in total 4 handlers. 2 handlers to unlink from Google and Facebook, and 2 handlers to link to Facebook and Google. So let's define them. First is going to be unlink Facebook like this. Then we will have unlink Google. Then we will have link Facebook and link Google. And link Google like this. Alright, first let's maybe do unlink functionality. So it will be kind of the same, and it is very actually easy to do. So we're gonna create another, like a common function that we will call inside unlink Facebook and unlink Google, that we will call, just unlink, and then we're gonna receive here provider ID like this. Alright, so we're gonna call this unlink from unlink Facebook like this, and then we're gonna put facebook.com, and the same we will do for Google. We're gonna put unlink google.com like this. Alright, so to unlink the actual provider, we're gonna do the next thing. We're gonna put first try catch block, and we're gonna ask in the first place if only one sign-in method is left for the user. So it is possible that we unlink from Google and then we end up with no sign-in providers at all. In this way, account will be abandoned and it will not have any sign-in method. So it means it will be kind of dead. So we want to avoid that, and we're gonna check if auth.currentuser.providerdata.length is equal to 1, and we want to unlink it, so we have only one sign-in method, and we click on unlink, we will receive a warning. We will throw new error, and we're gonna say you cannot disconnect from provider ID. That we receive as an argument over here. And now we will catch this error that we throw over here, and we're gonna put it alert.error. We will say error.message for 4 seconds. Alright, so if everything is cool here, and if we have, let's say, 2 providers connected and we want to disconnect from one of them, it is safe. So we're gonna call auth.currentuser.unlink this method. If I call it, you can see unlinks a provider from a user account, and I need to pass provider ID, which is going to be provider ID from our arguments. So it is a promise. What we're gonna do, we're gonna await it, and because it is async await syntax, we need to put async in front of the function. So after we awaited, we need to update our set is connected. We need to update our local state. So what we can do, we can actually create another function just to update our state. So we can call it something like this: update is connected, and inside we can pass provider ID and then just the value, whether it is true or false. So here we put provider ID, and when we unlink, we want to set it to false. So let's create this update is connected. We're gonna receive provider ID as an argument, and then we will receive actually the value, something like this. So inside this function, we are going to call set is connected. Here we're gonna receive previous value inside the callback, and here we need to return a new value because it is an object. We want to make sure that we maintain the structure. So we're gonna return, all right, let's maybe put it more explicitly. From this callback, we're gonna return an object. Here we're gonna merge the previous state like this, and then to update the actual provider ID, we need to open this type of brackets. Then we need to put provider ID as a key, and then we will specify the value. All right. So in this way, it will update the object with the specified provider ID and value. All right, good. It looks just fine. Let's maybe also add another alert over here with alert, maybe just info, and we will say disconnected from provider ID like this, and let's put 4 seconds over here. All right, now let's actually link this handlers to our buttons. So we need to unlink Facebook. We need to put it to here, to this tag element. So here we can have this onClose event. So for this onClose event, we will specify unlink Google actually, and the same for Facebook. So here we're gonna put onClose, and we're gonna put unlink Facebook this time. All right, now it has sufficient functionality to test it out. So let's open dashboard. Let's click on this close element. So when we click on it, you cannot disconnect from google.com. That's because we only have Google sign in method, only one of it. So if we disconnect from it, we will make our account dead. All right, good. Now let's actually add our link functionality. So again, it will be the same, almost the same. So we're going to create a common function as unlink. So let's put it maybe over here, and we will name it, let's link. All right. So it is going to receive not a provider ID, but the provider object, the same as we used inside sign in page. Let's see this new Firebase auth Firebase provider. All right, so I copied it. So let me comment it, and here we're gonna call this link, and inside we need to pass provider object that we will receive as an argument. So for Facebook, we're gonna call new Firebase auth Facebook auth provider. Let's first import Firebase from Firebase app. All right, looks good. And the same we will do for link Google. So let's copy it. And here we're gonna call Google Auth Provider. All right, looks good. Now let's associate these handlers in advance with our buttons. So on click, we're gonna link Google. And for this button on click, we're gonna link Facebook. All right, looks good. So now what will be our strategy? So it is actually very, very simple with Firebase. Again, we need to use our auth object, and here we're gonna call our current user and then link with pop-up. Link with pop-up, we need to specify just the provider object that we receive as an argument, which is going to be one of those. All right, so again, it is a promise. We need to await it, and after it is successfully updated, let's convert it to async function. After it is successfully updated, we will notify user with alert info, let's say connected or maybe linked to provider let's use ring interpolation, and because it is a provider object this time, this provider object has provider ID as its key. And again, we will specify 4 seconds. In case of any error, we're gonna put alert error message, and we will put error message here like this. And at the end of the day, we need to also update our local state. So we're gonna call the same as before, update is connected, and this time we will put provider.provider ID, and then we were gonna put true because we link our account. Alright, now it seems fine. Let's check it out. It seems like we have all functionality. Let me double check. Okay, looks good. Now let's go to dashboard. If I click on link to Facebook, let's see what is going to happen. Now I will be asked to log into my Facebook, but because I already signed in, now I have linked to Facebook. If I go to authentication and if I refresh, I can see that I have 2 sign-in providers associated with this user, so it actually worked. Now if I, let's say, click on disconnect from Facebook, now I have disconnected from facebook.com. If I click on Google, you cannot disconnect from Google because it is the only one left. And if I refresh again, you can see Facebook disappear, so actually everything worked. Alright, so it was a lot actually. I guess that's the good time to finish this video. So we're gonna add everything to the state, and then we're gonna git commit linked Facebook and Google to one account, created provider block. Whew, alright, see you in the next one.